Well, now that we know the background of socially responsible investing and we know what it's really about, what has it done? What are some of the successes? Well, there's an organization called the Social Investment Forum, and every 2 years they publish the report of socially responsible investing trends in the United States. Social Investment Forum, socialinvest.org. Very, very useful website. I encourage you to go take a look at it and poke around. Really good information. They look at the trends over time. Well, for the 2007 report, which is as to the end of December 2006, they identified 2.71 trillion, that's with a T, dollars under professional management in one or more of the three areas of socially responsible investing: screening, advocacy, and community investing. This is up from 639 billion in 1995. That is a 324% increase in 12 years. So it is growing. Nearly $1 in $9 was invested in SRI portfolios. That's 11% of the 25.1 trillion total dollars in investing, professionally managed investments. 11%, $1 in $9 is an SRI in 2007. Socially screened mutual funds grew from 12 billion to about $172 billion in those 12 years. That's an increase of 1,425% in 12 years. That's outpaced the growth of the entire mutual fund industry in the U.S. The rate of growth is much faster. It's still a small percentage, but the rate of growth is much, much faster. From 2005 through 2006, a 2-year period, the end of 2006, professionally managed SRI grew by 18%. All professionally managed assets grew by less than 3%. It's in the last 2 years. Shareholder resolutions grew by 57%, and community investing grew by 32%. That's just in 2 years. Okay, now what are some of the things that are being done with SRI? Okay, what are some of the actual achievements, so to speak? Well, shareholder resolutions is one of the biggest areas for direct impact. A current one is what they call say on pay. And basically this is shareholders want to express concerns to the board about these huge pay packages that may or may not have anything to do with financial performance. They want to be able to challenge them. And so far, Blockbuster, Intel, Ingersoll Rand, Motorola, and Verizon have adopted these. And there's over 100 companies that has this resolution before them for this year's proxy season, 2009. So that's an area that's getting a lot of attention. In 2003, a utility known as American Electric Power received a resolution from the state of Connecticut. The resolution asked them to consider the economic risk of carbon dioxide and other emissions. Well, the resolution won 27% of the shares voted for it, which is the highest for an environmental issue at the time. In 2004, they put together a task force. The board had a task force, subcommittee of the board, to focus on climate change. And the results that they published from that task force has now had other shareholders in other companies get these same resolutions before the boards of those companies. So that's had a major impact. Other areas include resolutions for toxic chemicals, sustainability, non-discrimination, oversight of political contributions, lobbying, animal testing. Some more recent examples are predatory lending, predatory credit card practices have really sprung out in the last year or so, and greenhouse gas emissions. Community investing focuses on subprime mortgage situation. Now, we all kind of know that one of the biggest impacts, one of the biggest areas that impacted the current financial crisis came from subprime mortgages. Basically predatory loans. People were sold a mortgage with a teaser rate, and then the rate ballooned up and they couldn't afford their mortgage. A huge percentage of the foreclosures are in that group. Well, that's what we call predatory lending. And SRI advocates have been dealing with this issue since the 80s. I first heard about it as being a major issue in 1999. Now, mortgage collapse largely came from this, not solely, but largely from this. Earlier I talked about community development financial institutions, CDFIs. This is one of the things that they do, is they go into these communities and they do mortgages or set up mortgages for people the right way. Appropriate lending and investment products, foreclosure prevention counseling, financial training programs to educate borrowers on the abusive lending practices and their legal rights. So there's much less of a tendency for people to get involved with these types of mortgages. So what's fueling this growth in SRI? Well, performance is one. I mean, years ago, the rap used to be, well, you could be SRI, but you're going to suffer with performance. That's just not true. Certainly not true anymore. There's over 20 studies that have been professionally, academically reviewed that say that there is no difference. In fact, some of the studies suggest that SRI has a slight edge. The United Nations has reviewed over 30 academic studies, same conclusion. You don't pay any penalty for being an SRI. That's a myth that's been busted. Another area that's fueling the growth is information. People just have access to more information about these things. Investors are better educated and informed in general. Social research organizations provide high-quality information on a regular basis. Plus, a lot of money managers, due to pressure from their investors, are doing more and more work with SRI. There's a demand for it. Another fueling factor is availability. There's over 260 mutual funds now that are socially responsible. More and more socially screened options in retirement plans. Plus, there's a lot of asset managers, in the hundreds now, social planners, or socially responsible asset managers and financial planners that are working with SRI. Values. There's a huge growing segment of our population that really wants to bring their values to all aspects of their lives, their spirituality, their whole way of dealing with life, and that includes their finances. So values is a big driving force. Another one is people are kind of annoyed at these corporate scandals. It started with Enron, WorldCom, Martha Stewart, remember a few years ago? And investors like an investment process that digs into the background of these companies first, so we don't have these problems. Now, this has really been intensified over the past year. I mean, we're seeing problems with subprime lending. We're seeing real estate values plummet. We're seeing scandal after scandal on Wall Street, ineptness on Wall Street, Detroit, which has been dysfunctional for years. We're seeing all kinds of situations going on. This is uncomfortable, but it's a good thing. You can't have a breakthrough without a breakdown. And we're going through those breakdowns right now in areas of our economy that were dysfunctional to begin with. So it's not a bad thing. Another factor, women. Over 60%, the estimate is over 60% of SRI investors are women. As women have grown their presence in the workforce, gotten MBAs, running companies, all these kinds of things, they're bringing those natural values to their investing. And they want to see good things with their investments in particular. Another area is sustainability. Kind of SRI has paralleled the growth in the interest that people are having in a sustainable world, sustainable economies, just climate change, alternative energy, those kinds of things. So sustainability has been a big factor. So if we bring it all together, why do SRI? Why do SRI? There are those that say that SRI is not for everyone. Well, I don't agree, but that's the way it is. SRI is not for you if you just want to make money with your investments and you don't really care how it's invested. If it's just all about making money, then you're probably not going to want to get into socially responsible investing. Okay. However, if you want to earn competitive returns with your investments, to quote conventional investing, so you can fund your future, your retirement, your children's education, and so on, at the same time, you want your money to make a difference in the world by supporting and empowering the kinds of changes you want to see, then SRI is for you. Consider that the most powerful institution in the world is not government, it's business. Now, right now, government is taking a pretty strong stand to bail out a lot of dysfunctional businesses, and unfortunately they have to do that, at least to some degree. But ultimately, business is what calls the shots in the world. And it's clear that if we're going to deal effectively with the many issues that threaten the quality of our lives, well, corporations need to shoulder their responsibility in the matter. Socially responsible investing, it's a very powerful lever. It's a financial lever to create the kinds of changes that we want to see. You and I make a difference. Now, for example, when a company's discovered that it's exploiting their workers, and you and I discover it, we stop buying their products. For example, shoes that we find are made in sweatshops, we just stop buying them. We also stop our investments in that company, and that gets people's attention. That gets the corporation's attention. Why do I do it? It's my passion. You know, for me, I believe that virtually everyone in our society first needs a good financial plan. Then, they need a way to have their investments make a difference in the world, not just to fund their future, but to create the kind of positive changes that we all want to see.